The storm before the lesson. Ethan had always been the kind of man people admired, disciplined, hardworking, and focused. For 8 years, he worked at the same company, believing loyalty and effort would protect him from life's unpredictable storms. He woke up early, stayed late, and carried the silent weight of responsibility on his shoulders. But life, as it often does, had different plans. One Thursday morning, Ethan was called into the manager's office. There were no smiles, no warm greetings, only a stiff envelope on the table and the cold sentence that dropped like a rock into his stomach. "We are letting you go." The world around him fell quiet. He heard the words, but they echoed like distant thunder, unreal and disjointed. He stared at the letter, then at the manager, then back at the letter. 8 years, gone in 8 seconds. He walked outside, and the sun seemed too bright for a day that had just broken him. His hands trembled, his heart pounded. He felt humiliated, betrayed, and most of all, lost. This was the first arrow, the arrow life shot at him, the arrow he could not avoid, but he didn't know that a second arrow was already on its way, fired not by life, but by his own mind. The second arrow begins to strike. For the next days, Ethan spiraled. He replayed the moment repeatedly. What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? How could they dump me like that? The more he thought, the deeper he sank. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating properly, stopped smiling. His fear began to whisper louder each day. You'll never find another job. You're a failure. Everyone will judge you. He felt as if he was drowning in thoughts he couldn't escape. Every day, he fired arrow after arrow into his own heart. Self-criticism, worry, fear, anger, bitterness. The job loss, the first arrow, hurt him. But the second arrow, the arrow of his own mind, that one was killing him slowly. The unexpected encounter. One afternoon, while wandering the city aimlessly, Ethan found himself in front of a small tea house he had never noticed before. The sign read, "The Quiet Leaf, Tea and Wisdom." He had no idea why he walked in. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he needed comfort. Or maybe life was guiding him gently toward the lesson he needed. Inside, the air smelled of jasmine and warm wood. Soft music played. An elderly man sat behind the counter, thin, calm, with a gentle smile that seemed to hold centuries of peace. "Rough day?" the old man asked softly. Ethan exhaled for the first time in hours. "Rough week," he replied. The old man nodded knowingly and gestured to a cushion. "Sit, I'll make you something." As the tea steeped, Ethan began to open up. He told the old man everything. The job loss, the fear, the shame. The old man listened quietly, without interruption, without judgment. When Ethan was done, the old man poured the tea and said, "My friend, life has shot you with one arrow, but you are hurting because you shot yourself with the second." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" The old man smiled gently. "The first arrow is what life does to you. Painful? Yes. But the second arrow is what your mind does after. That suffering is optional." Ethan looked confused, so the old man continued. "You cannot stop the first arrow, but the second arrow, that one is your choice." The tea demonstration. The old man picked up the steaming teapot. "Watch." He poured hot water into an empty cup. "This is the first arrow," he said. "It fills your cup with pain, fear, shock." But then he lifted a second pot filled with dark ink. "And this is the second arrow." Before Ethan could react, the old man poured the ink into the cup. The tea darkened instantly, becoming undrinkable. This is what happens when you add your reaction, your fear, your anger, your overthinking to the first arrow. The pain becomes bigger than it needs to be. Ethan's eyes widened. He understood, deeply. "So how do I stop the second arrow?" he asked. The old man nodded with approval. "Ah, good question." He lifted another cup, empty, clean, open. "You learn to keep your mind like this, clear, calm, free. So even when life pours pain Ethan's resistance. Ethan sighed. "It's not that easy," he said bitterly. "When something bad happens, I can't just switch off my emotions." The old man chuckled. "Of course you can't. No one can." He leaned forward and added, "But you can choose not to feed them." He poured a small stream of tea onto the table. A droplet ran toward the edge. "See this?" he asked. "This is your fear." Ethan watched. "If you don't chase it, it falls away." The droplet reached the edge and disappeared. "Emotions come and go," the old man continued, "but suffering comes when you hold them, stare at them, feed them." Ethan sat silently, absorbing every word. For the first time in weeks, his breath slowed, his mind softened. The old man added gently, "You've been reliving your loss every day. You've fired 100-second arrows, but you can stop firing today." The lesson in the park. The next morning, Ethan returned to the tea house. This time he found the old man sweeping leaves outside. "You're early," the old man said with a smile. "You must be ready." "Ready for what?" Ethan asked. The old man simply motioned for him to follow. They walked to a quiet city park, where morning light shimmered on a small lake. Birds chirped. The wind brushed gently against their faces. The old man stopped under a cherry blossom tree and sat down. "Let's practice," he said. Ethan sat opposite him. "Close your eyes," the man instructed. "Breathe." Ethan inhaled, exhaled. "Now," the old man said softly, "remember losing your job." Pain rose immediately. Ethan's stomach tightened. "That's the first arrow." "Now watch your thoughts." Ethan noticed anger, fear, shame, each one rising like waves. "These thoughts, these fears, these are the second arrows," the old man said. "Instead of chasing them, let them pass." Ethan tried. He allowed the thoughts to rise and fall again. And slowly, something incredible happened. His chest loosened, his breathing eased, the thoughts lost their power. After a while, the old man spoke. "Do you feel lighter?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, for the first time in weeks." The old man smiled. "This is what life feels like when you stop firing the second arrow. The return of real life." But life wasn't done testing him. A few days later, he received an email from his landlord inviting him to a call from the bank was saving him money. His brother asked how the job search was going, and Ethan felt embarrassment rising again. The emotions came back like a storm. But this time, something was different. Instead of panicking, Ethan sat on his bed, closed his eyes, and breathed. He whispered to himself, "That is the first arrow. Everything else is the second." The fear softened. The anxiety dissolved. His mind steadied. He updated his resume without shaking. He applied for jobs without feeling nervous. He even made a list of small steps to follow each day. He was starting to heal this. The breakthrough weeks passed. Ethan grew calmer, clearer, stronger. He returned to the tea house daily, where the old man guided him with new lessons: patience, acceptance, presence. Then one afternoon, his phone rang. "Ethan, this is Melissa from Greenwood Consulting. We'd like to schedule your interview." His heart raced, but this time, he breathed. "That's the first arrow," he whispered. "Stay calm. Stay steady." The interview day arrived. He felt nervous. Yes, he was human. But he didn't let fear fire the second arrow. He answered confidently, smiled warmly, spoke clearly and calmly. He felt like a man finally in control of his own mind. A few days later, the call came. "Ethan, congratulations. You're hired." Tears filled his eyes. Relief washed over him. He couldn't wait to tell the old man. The final tea, Ethan rushed to the tea house the next morning. "I got the job," he shouted the moment he entered. The old man looked up, smiling gently. "I knew you would," he said. Ethan sat down, overflowing with gratitude. "How did you know?" he asked. The old man poured tea into 2 cups. Gibson answered. Because you stop fighting yourself. Life's arrows will always come, but you learn not to fire them. Ethan lifted his cup. So the secret to peace, he said softly, is stopping the second arrow. The old man nodded. Life will hurt you, but it doesn't have to destroy you. Pain is part of living. Suffering is a choice. Ethan smiled, truly smiled for the first time in months. He had been wounded. He was finally healing. He lifted his cup in gratitude. To the first arrow, he said quietly, and the beautiful life that begins when we stop firing the second. And so, Ethan's journey teaches us a timeless truth. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. Pain is inevitable. Fear is normal. Challenges will come. But the suffering, the endless overthinking, the self-blame, the anxiety, that is the second arrow. And you have the power to stop firing it.